Hey guys, thanks for watching Nerf Socom modifications. Today we are going to be modifying the Longstrike CS-6. Now this is one of the more stronger guns in Nerf, and it'd probably be the only one I would consider not modifying because its effective range is around 32 feet, which is very impressive for Nerf. It's almost as strong as the effective range of the modified Raider, which is very effective. I recommend, if you're going to buy this gun and modify it, do not install the bolt. You can play with half of the bolt, it's no problem, but I would not install it until you're done modifying it because there is some trouble taking it off. A lot of people would recommend you using a screwdriver to pry it off. That works, but it puts uneven pressure on the gun. I would use a hammer if you already put it on, but if you're going to modify, I wouldn't put it on. Also, the stock doesn't come off, so you can put that on, but it's easy to take off once you open it up. But we're going to do a modification on the easy removal of the stock, so you can put it on and take it off. Air restrictor removal, 2 lock removals, which is the slide lock and the clip lock. And I guess we should get started. The things you're going to need is several different screwdrivers, different sizes. Some smaller ones are preferable. Drill for the air restrictor. You're going to need some sanders or grinders for easy removal modification of the stock and the slider. And I think that's all. You want to take all your accessories off before starting. All your clips, you want to take all your clips out. And let's get started. I'm using an automatic drill for taking the screws out, but when you put the screws back in, you really don't want to strip it, so I would recommend using a screwdriver. Also, I didn't know, you might want some silicone oil. I have some high-grade stuff. It's for mostly airsoft, but I will use that for this. You can probably use others. Wouldn't recommend WD-40 because that's not really. I just wouldn't use WD-40. You might be able to use any type of silicone. I don't know. Some people say Vaseline works. I would get something that's meant for lubricant. I'm also using a towel. I'll show you why in a minute. First, there's lots of lube that's already in there that might get out, and you don't want to get it everywhere. It'd be nice to be able to wipe your hands off on something. But also, it's always nice to have a layout of the screws for your gun. Okay, so now you see this is the layout I made of the screws. So first thing we need to look at is this spring here, always pops out. Keep this locks the attachments on here and this same thing with this one here. So lay this out here with the rest of your screws so you know what goes where. That doesn't really matter, but you want to get all the loose pieces off so when they fly, they're not going to be in the way. So now I'm going to take the stock back out because it was locked on. I tried to make my own modification with this paper so I could take it off, but that didn't work, so I'm going to have to sand it down. So there's these screws on here, 2 silver screws, and I recommend using this thing here I did with all your modifications because this helps the layout so you know exactly where everything goes. Now let's take this piece off. This is the, it stops the spring from coming back. This is the release. First of all, some people put some plastic pieces in this piece. You can do that. I'm pretty sure that's safe. And then some people put some tape around the plunger, and that is not safe because first of all, it puts more weight on the plunger, and second, with the spring pushing against the tape, it will eventually smash it, and sometimes it'll come out a little, and that won't be good. Let's take this piece off. Okay, so here's the important part of this whole thing. Right here is the air restrictor system. It's not the air restrictor system, it's the chambering system, which includes the air restrictor inside of the hole. Now, a lot of people hit this pin out. It takes way too long. I just do it with this whole piece on. This here is a lock. what it will do is it'll make it so that when the gun is cocked forward, you cannot use the release lever for the trigger. You cannot release it, and obviously that's not wanted, so I'm going to get rid of that. Now, some people screw a little hole inside of here just to let the air through, but me, I like to unscrew the whole thing. I like to get rid of the whole piece in there, just because if you do not get rid of the whole piece, there's going to be a rattling sound of the air restrictor, or what's left of the air restrictor just rattling around, and that's not really desirable. So I like to drill the whole thing out, and sometimes my bit is not long enough, as you see here. So I have a different bit. Okay, so I'm getting some of it out. I drilled through the air restrictor. There's the spring. Popped out. Not looking so good. I got it really hot, so I guess it's collapsed. It should pop out. Now there's left is the air restrictor, and you hear that? That is not desirable for me, so I'm gonna get that out too. What you do is you just do a really fine around to give it a space to come back through. You could also come through the front, all the way through, but sometimes I like to keep, there's a little plastic piece in there that I like to keep on there. Sometimes you can bang it out. I've modified enough guns to know that, but it looks like this one's not going to come out easy, so. What? Okay. There we go, I got the rest of it out. I just jammed a long bit in there. I was going to use a long bit. I was just showing you that some people will use that, and I don't because it's a waste. Now another thing you might want to do is there's some stuff left in there. There's always some dust left in there, so you can get a towel and wipe that out. And that's really good because if all this dust gets inside of your plunger, it'll screw up the eventually it'll screw up the seal of the whole thing, and then obviously that's not desirable as well. Okay, so what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to clean out the inside of this of all the dust, the plastic debris that's left in there. And now I'm doing this and I'm going to re-lubricate it. If you do not have a lubricant, I would just recommend getting one, and if you do not want to get one, don't do what I'm doing right now because you need to re-lubricate after this. Another thing you need to know is that you cannot dry fire modified guns because there's no air restrictor, which means if there's no dart in there, it'll slam plastic against plastic, and I've said many times it will eventually break the gun. Obviously you don't want that. So some silicone oil, high grade. Just light. But I use silicone because I use it in my airsoft gun and it works great. Okay, so now you have that. And we'll put it back together, and it should be pretty easy to figure out where all the pieces go. But just in case you don't, I would recommend before taking it all out, just looking at it, making sure you know how it operates, what everything does. Okay, well I'm putting this in first. Push this trigger down, and I'm putting the trigger back in. I got it together now. And as you see, okay, now I'm just gonna lubricate more. And looks like if you match it up with the catch for the spring, you'll see that this trigger on top, normally it goes on top, it does here as well. Okay, so now I'm going to modify this piece here This is the slide on the top, and what my goal is here is so I can slide it on and off anytime. Doesn't matter if it's cocked back forward or not cocked at all. So I'm just gonna cut this little thing off that I was telling you about earlier, little lip, and it'll take me a while. Also, I'm just gonna try something real quick. This might work better. I'm just gonna try to break it off. Yeah, this will work better. I'm just breaking the lip off with my pliers, multi-tool. See, right now I just pried the whole thing off with my pliers. It doesn't look so great. I'd recommend sanding it off or filing it off, but I just did it the quick way. I would normally sand it off because I'd rather get better quality by spending more time, but this is a video. It doesn't look that great. Doesn't look that fantastic, but it'll work. Especially for the short time I spent on it. Okay, looks like we need to do one more modification, then I will put this all back together. Now, this modification might be a little difficult, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to this piece here, and this piece here, and this piece here, and this piece here, all the catches on the gun. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to sand them down, because as you see there's a little ramp, and then there's a stop, so I'm going to sand it so that both sides have a ramp. And you want both sides to look relatively the same angle as I've done here with this one. So now I'm on the bottom side. Now this bottom one is the only one that I'm going to have trouble with, because it doesn't fit properly with this block here. Now I'm going to get all the junk off. Seems to be still kind of tight, so I'm going to do it a little bit more. It'll come out right now, but it's a little tight, so I'm just going to sand it down just a little more. Now see, these things are really tight anyway, so once you get it in, it's still going to be pretty hard to take out, but look, see, I pulled it and it comes out. So it's hard to get in. Once you get it in, you can pull and get it out. And obviously it'll be easier once the gun's together, because there won't be much more tension. There's going to be less tension because I'm going to have a good grip and stuff. So let's put this thing back together now and test it out. Okay, so as you remember, I lined up all my stuff in this line over here, so I know where everything goes. Let's see, this side goes up. And then I need to get the spring in there. And there's some rubber pieces on the spring. I guess that's to help it stay on better. Okay, so the sides with the little inclines go down to fit around the screws. So flat sides stay up and the thin side comes out this way to stop the spring here, but the plunger can still go through. Okay, and so obviously the smaller side here will go down to fit. A lot of the time there's going to be problems where you're going to put it together and it won't cock. So what you want to do before you put it together, you want to make sure that it cocks back and that there's no problems with it, because with a lot of guns, I've modified them, finished, and it was all ready, and then it just doesn't cock. So you just want to make sure that it cocks and moves back before you put it back together. And this one does, so I'm going to put it back together. Okay, so my modification is complete. What I've done, you've seen what I've done. Now the stock goes in, comes out, and it will stay in because I didn't cut the whole pieces off. So it does stay in solidly. It doesn't shake, it doesn't wiggle, but you can pull it out. It gives a little force, but it will come out easy. So now the clip, you can put it in. This is not cocked. Put it in and take it out. The access can open and close. And it shoots very strong. And the first time shooting it, you're going to be happy. Very, very powerful. Now the sight might actually line up with whatever you're shooting. You see here, it's a brilliant design. Go. And I'm thinking about painting this because it's such a slim and slick gun. I'm not going to put the bolt on yet because it'd be nice to paint individual parts. Okay, so now let's see the shooting. Hey guys, I've lined up a tape, 3 tapes, 2 25s and 1 15, so 65 feet. Now, obviously, the barrel creates some friction, so I'm going to try it without now. Okay, after testing this gun's modifications, we've gained more mobility. We have gained more accuracy. We have gained 20 feet of effective range. We've gone from 32 to 50. That's really impressive, especially for Nerf. You don't get an effective range of 50 feet with Nerf. This, though, is surprising. Also, I noticed that when you do use the barrel extension, it does create a little spin on the darts sometimes, and it gets more range without it. So I would definitely recommend doing this mod if you have all the materials. And I would really say this is probably the best modification we've done on Nerf Socom, because we've gotten such good ranges with it. Even without modification, it's as good as a modified recon. It's really impressive, and I would recommend buying this, waiting to remove this piece, and modifying it. Thanks for watching. Adios, muchachas.